All right, welcome to your first lesson. So this is Unit 1, Positive Integers. We're going to do 1-1 today, plotting positive integers on a number line. Our next lesson is going to be to compare positive integers. So in order to compare, we have to know how to put them on a number line. All right, so I will be able to, here's our objectives. We'll be able to create a number line and plot positive integers on it. And I will be able to explain the process. Okay, and here's our vocabulary. Don't write these numbers down. That was just for me. So we're going to pull out our vocabulary sheets. So go to the back of your binder. And our first vocabulary word is going to be integer. So up at the top here, you can see the letters. We're going to find I. That's alphabetical, so I comes after H. Okay, so here's an I. But on the other side, there's also an I, so it's like in the middle here. Okay, so down at the bottom, you should see the word integer. Okay, so if you need to pause the video to write this down, that is okay to do. So an integer is a positive whole numbers and negative whole numbers. All right, we're going to jump down to the examples. So for example, we have 3, -6, 236, -5,721. Okay? Those are all great integers. All right? So our personal connection, I would say, is temperature. So when we talk about temperature, especially in Minnesota, that's usually integers. So we say it's like 5 degrees out, or we might say it's -20 degrees out, or we might say it's 72 degrees out. So what you're going to do here is I left that blank because that's a personal definition. So you're going to come up with your own definition. It might look very similar to this, but you're going to explain it in a way that's really easy for you to understand. So for some of you, that might be writing it in a different language. And for others, it might just be kind of a lazy definition, like positive and negative, positives and negatives, okay? If you wanted to, but it's really important that they are wholes. There's no decimals. Okay, so now we're going to go to positive. So we're on the I, and we need to go to P. So there's M, O, N, P. Okay, so positive. So right here is positive. So remember, you can pause this video if you need to. So positive means it's above 0. So like 5, 8.9, or 372. Now this 8.9 is not an integer because it's not a whole number, but it is positive. So our personal connection, I wrote miles per hour, like your speed is usually positive. When you look at your speed on a car, you're always going a positive amount, okay? Personal definition, again, you can write your own definition. If it's the exact same, that's okay, but that is up to you. All right, next we're going to talk about infinite. So we actually have to go back to the I's. We have a lot on the I's here. So the word infinite. Infinite means it goes on forever and ever. All right, and I screwed up here, so don't do those cross-out ones. So examples for math would be you can always count higher. So if you think you can only count to 100, well, the next number is 101. If you think you can count to 1 billion, the next number is 1,000,001, 1,000,002, 1,000,003, so on and so forth. So my personal connection, I wrote imagination because your imagination is infinite. You can always come up with more possibilities, more ideas. All right. And then your personal definition, remember you're writing that on your own. So if you need to pause this video to write that, please do. All right, next we have number lines. We're going to the ends. Okay, so going to the ends. Whoops. So it's on the left side. All right, so number line is a line that is infinite. It goes on forever and ever that can help represent numbers. So here's my example. I just drew one number line and has 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So eventually, if I kept drawing this, I could get to 1,000,000,000. It'd be, or 500, or 637. If I kept going and going, that's what these arrows mean. Similarly in this direction, but that's the negatives, and we're not worried about those today. So in personal connection is a ruler. So when you measure a ruler, I know it's kind of hard to see, sorry. this is actually a number line. It doesn't go on forever. It's not infinite, but it does have a number line on it. All right, next up we have tick marks. So we're going to the T's. So tick mark. So tick mark, right here, tick mark, says the marks on a number line. Okay, I didn't have a really good, we could say dashes instead of marks actually. That'd be better. Okay, so an example, here's the number line. So I drew an arrow to a tick mark. So this is a tick mark here, tick mark, tick mark, tick mark, tick mark. Okay, similar, we just talked about that ruler. It's like the lines on a ruler. Don't forget to do your personal definition. So if you need to rewrite that in a different way, some way that makes more sense to you. All right, next we have interval. So we're going back to the I's. This is the last I one. Okay, so interval, right here. So down at the bottom on the left side, it says the amount of space between tick marks. What you count by is really what it is. I would put this definition right here if I were you, okay? So here in this number line, it goes 5, 10, 15, 20. So my interval is 5 because I'm counting by 5s. All right, and intervals take place outside of just a number line. So if you think of the interval between class periods, okay, so each class period is 48 minutes. So that's an interval. All right, next up we have plot. So we're going back to the P's. All right, so plot. It's on the bottom of the left side. And plot means to represent on a chart. So what I did is I drew a number line real quick, and I drew an arrow, and that means to draw a point. I can't just draw a point there because that's not what plot means. It's a verb. So verb, it means to actually do it, okay? Personal connection, just drawing. That's kind of like plotting. All right, and then go ahead and write your personal definition. Again, pause if you need to. We're almost there. The next word is point. So it's actually right on the next page. So the word is point. Our academic definition is a location. So this time I drew a quick number line and actually made a point and drew to it. So the point is right on that number line. So our personal connection is like a pin on a map. So when you like use Google Maps or you use your directions, your GPS, when you decide where you want to go, it usually puts a pin where that you want to be. Okay? So go ahead and make your personal definition if you need to. Or no, not if you need to, you're going to. All right, we got a few more. So now we're going to go to 0. So 0 is Z, so that's the very last page. This should be a quick definition. It means none. So that's 0. That's the number, okay? And that means you have like no cookies, which means 0 cookies. That's your personal connection. So don't forget to do your personal definition. Remember, you can pause this video if I'm going too fast. All right, the last two words come from the M's. So we're going to find M. Oops, I passed M. I lost my M's. Where are they? There we go, I got mixed up. Okay, so we have 2 here. So we have maximum and minimum. So maximum is the greatest number in a set. And a minimum, we're going to do at the same time, is the least number in the set. So I wrote the same numbers here, 5, 19, 22, 47. And in this case, we did maximum, so that's the greatest number. So the maximum is 47. Over here, the minimum is 5 because it's the smallest number. Now our personal connections are a little bit different. So for the maximum, I said the fastest you can run is your maximum speed. It's as fast as you can go. For a personal connection for minimum, I said minimum, I just wrote min for minimum. I abbreviated it. To pass is 68%. That's the lowest you can have in order to pass this class. All right, don't forget to do this personal definitions, and then we're going to go back to the notes. So flip back to those notes, pause if you need to. All right, so on the notes, we're going to build our background. So it says list the numbers 1 to 10 in order below. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to circle the numbers 8, 3, and 6. So 8, 3, and 6. Okay, so that's really what a number line is like, except we're just going to put that number line above the numbers. All right, so the way we take notes is the problem is on this left side, then we have the number line, and then we have our steps on the right side. So we always fill out those steps as we go. So if you get confused on your homework or your practice work, you can look back and see what we did. So our problem here says plot the points 3, 10, and 6 on the number line. So the first thing we always want to do is identify the interval we are counting by. So remember identify the interval, we are counting by blank. So what are we counting by here? It goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're just counting by ones. Okay, so we don't need to think too hard. We're just going to make the points on the line at the numbers. Okay, so 3. So here's 3. So I'm going to just make a point on that line, a big circle. Make sure you can see it. Don't make it too big. But if you just do a little dot like this, so for 10, if you just do this, I can't see that. So make sure it's a little bit bigger. And 6. Okay, that's it for that one. All right, number 2 says plot the points 12, 19, 23, and 16 on the number line. So here, again, we're going to identify the interval. So if I look at the numbers, it goes 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So we are not counting by ones. So we want to think to get from 10 to 12, that's 10, 11, 12. So it's 2. So we're counting by 2s. Okay. Again, if you didn't know, I could go from 16 to 18. So start at 16. So 17, 18. So it takes 2 more. All right, so I'm going to plot the numbers 12, 19. So 19 is not listed on here. So I have to think, where would 19 be? 19 is between 18 and 20, and it's right in the middle because it's the number that we are missing in the middle. So 23, same thing. I want to think 23 is in between what 2 numbers? So is it between 10 and 12, 12 and 14? 23 is in between 22 and 24. Because when we count, it goes 22, 23, 24. And 16. So 16, we can see it's right there. We just make that point, and we're done, because we just make those points. All right, last problem on the front side, number 3. We're going to plot the points 56, 34, 79, and 45 on the number line. So we would need to identify the interval. What are we counting by? So it goes 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So we need to decide how many numbers is it to get from 30 to 35. If you don't know, you count. So 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So we're counting by 5s because it took 5 numbers there. So now we're going to make the points. So notice 56 is not on here. It is, it's just not labeled. So 56 comes right after 55. I'm not going to put it in the middle because in between these two, it goes 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. So 56 is right after that. It has to fit all in there. So 34 is between 30 and 35. So if I count 31, 32, 33, 34. It's got to be really close to that 35, but not on it. 79. So 79 is in between 75 and 80, and it's really close to 80 because we count 70, 78, 79, 80. So it's just to the left, just a little bit below. And 45. So 45 should be simple because we can see there's 45. We make the point. All right, back side. We have 2 more examples. So number 4 says create a number line and plot the following points on it. 32, 37, 29, and 31. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually just draw a line. okay? And then step 1, we're going to find the range by doing the maximum minus the minimum. So which one is the highest number here? So I have 32, 37, 29, and 31. So my highest number is 37. So I'm going to write 37. And I'm going to subtract what's my smallest number, and that's going to be 29. So 37 minus 29 is 8. So since I only need to cover 8 numbers, it's okay. We need to decide what we're going to count by. So if I only need to cover 8 numbers, I can have 8 tick marks. That's okay. So we're going to count by ones. So now we're going to make the number line. I like to always use 10 tick marks. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Try and have them spaced evenly. So you don't want all your tick marks right here. You want them spread out. And we said we can count by ones. So I'm going to start just one smaller than what we have. So instead of saying 29, I'm going to say 28. And then I'm going to count by ones. So 29. My next tick mark is 30. So make sure you're labeling right below the tick mark. 31. This one's going to be 32. This one's 33. This one's 34. This one's 35. This one's 36. And this one's 37. Okay, so 32, make the point right on 32, because now we can just make the points. 37. 29. And 31. And that's it for that one. Okay, so for our next one, number 5, we're going to create a number line and plot the following points on it. 150, 165, 210, and 223. So I can draw the number line right away if I want to, the actual line. All right. We need to find the range by doing maximum minus the minimum. So the maximum is the largest number here. So that's 223. I'm going to subtract the lowest number, which is 150. All right, and that gives me 73. So we need to decide what we're going to count by. If I counted by ones, I would need to make 73 tick marks. That is too much. So instead of doing 73, we're going to count by tens. And the reason why I picked tens is because, one, I know I can count by tens. All right? If it's really hard for you to count by threes, never pick a 3. That's okay. So we're going to count by tens because then I know I can start, and 10 tick marks is going to make it 100. Okay, so now I'm going to make 10 tick marks. Remember, I want them spaced out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now notice I have some room left over. That's okay, sometimes, as long as it's not very much. I didn't want to spread them out because then it doesn't work out very well. So I'm going to start at my lowest, 150. And then I'm counting by 10. So that'd be 160 plus 10 is 170, 180, 190, 200, 210. Remember, we're making these right underneath the tick marks. 220, 230, 240. Yep, and that's it. Okay, so we're going to start with 150, so that's right here. Now I have 165, so 165 is between 160 and 170, so 165 is right in the middle, because it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so right in the middle. 210, so that's right here. And then we have 223. So we want to think, is 223 closer to 230 or closer to 220? So if I think 221, 222, 223, it's not even halfway, because halfway is 225. So make it a little closer to that 220, not right next to it, because that'd be 221. All right, for our summary, it says we can plot any number on a number line. because they contain an infinite amount of numbers. First, identify the interval that we are counting by, or we are going to count by, like we did here. Then create the number line. Last, plot the points. Congratulations, you finished your first video.